Hey guys, we're here for a quick look around the duty free at Glasgow Airport this time, seeing what's new since the last time we investigated the joys of travel shopping at Heathrow. There's definitely a few new things, including this, which I've not seen before, the Deacon. It's only 40% blended Scotch whisky, 2 of them for £51. Really interesting bottle. I mean, obviously quite unusual with the copper colour. Can't even see it at all, completely covered. No idea what it tastes like, but certainly something a little bit different. Diageo have obviously been putting a little bit of time, effort and money into things as well, from the displays of the Johnnie Walker to Talisker and a bunch of Singletons that we're going to come to in a minute as well. So first of all, we've got the Johnnie Walker Extraordinaire, finished in XO cognac casks. This one's on special offer at the minute. No idea whether that means it's not been quite shifting in the way they wanted. It's still a fairly chunky £299 for a 1 litre bottle. It is at 40% as well, so same strength as the standard Johnnie Walker. Talisker have got their usual travel retail bottles too. There's the Surge. This is a bit of a favourite, I think, of Stevie and mine. This one is normally what BA serve up to us in the lounge when we get to sit there before we're waiting for our flights. The litre bottles of the 10 and then the Dark Storm as well. Dark Storm, not really my favourite Talisker. It's one of the few that I don't have a bottle of at home as well. The Surge is definitely something that if you are on your travels is something that I can personally recommend. And then moving around here, these are very much brand new. So the Singleton have a new travel retail range, 4 different bottles. I've not tried any of these myself. So there's the Radiant Spring Garden, the Exotic Spice Grove, the Golden Autumn Orchard, and then the Deep Forest Riches. Interesting names for them. 4 different bottles, and I have no idea on the ABVs. 40, 42.8, 41.8, and 44.8. These are all no age statement, so white oak, triple oak, double oak, and a quartet of oak. This last one here, the Deep Forest Riches, I believe this one comes in around £240 from what I saw at Heathrow. And you've got European oak, and then a finishing period in Palo Cortado, Masala wine, and then Pedro Jimenez Oloroso seasoned cask. That's interesting, Pedro Jimenez Oloroso. Maybe those are some specially crafted casks using staves from both of them. Quite an unusual way of wording things, almost sounds more like 5 oak than 4 to me. Prices on these vary depending on where you are in the range. $56.99 for that white oak, the Spice Grove $144.99, the Autumn Orchard $81.99, then I think it's about $250 for this one. Not sure there's any prices around. Slightly odd the way they're there, and then this one apparently as well also suggests that it's got a bit of peat in it, which is quite unusual as well. All of them from the Glengoyne distillery. Obviously the Singleton, you do get a variety of distilleries, but it's good that it is actually at least pointing out where it's from. So that's probably enough of Diageo stock. There is, of course, other things available. Let's move on around. What's quite interesting here is Royal Salute. It's the classic 21, but all distilled in 2002. So a special blend, travel retail. £150 on that one, £149.99. Pretty much classic Royal Salute. Royal Salute actually I think is always a really good blend. I've sat down a couple of times with Sandy Hyslop, the master blender for Royal Salute, and you know, a great character in Scotch whisky. And I think Royal Salute generally actually quite an underrated blend. Really good mouthfeel and taste, despite generally being at 40%. There are a bunch of jurors here, but the less said about them, the better in all likelihood. Moving around here, there's a couple of Loch Lomonds. This is something that I think we've had on the podcast, possibly. You've certainly been sent a bottle of this for the Open, the golf tournament. There's a Chardonnay wine cask finish. Very cheap here, it's £36. That's a good price. And then not a single cask, but a limited edition, 4,500 bottles, a 24-year-old at £230. Today's market, I think a 24-year-old, 47%, £230. That's pretty good value, and it's got pretty good presentation as well. So good on those guys for putting out something at a reasonably accessible price. The usual Balvenis, Glenfiddichs. Interesting to see that Bowmore appear to have ditched the Aston Martin packaging and they're back to the traditional travel retails. The liquid is the same as ever. The prices though, without the collaboration with a fancy sports car maker, do appear to have gone down little bit, and we're down to 83.89 on the 18-year-old. Again, that's a pretty good price for an 18-year-old. It is, of course, a 70 CL, whereas you're getting a litre with the 10 and the 15. Moving around, it wouldn't be a Scottish or indeed a British airport without a bit of luxury as well. We've just been at Rosebank, and there is a travel retail exclusive, 32 years old, a 1990 vintage, and one of just 350 bottles. Like some of the others we've been tasting over the last few days, you will, of course, need deep pockets. £3,900 for a bottle. There's a bunch of others in here. Glen Scotia's at a 22 and a 32, some more Bowmores, something really for everyone. And of course, a Glengoyne. We talked and have been to Glengoyne recently, the Glengoyne 28, one of my favorite ever drams. That was a travel retail exclusive at the time. That's now been replaced by a 26-year-old travel retail bottle at 46.7%. Does look nice and dark, beautiful wooden packaging. Not that cheap though, at £768. Moving on as well, I think we'd like to point out Tamdhu. They've also had a couple of new releases in the market since the last time we visited duty free. There's the Quattro Reserva, 41.2%. And then the Ambar, 2008 to 2022 vintage. That one comes in at £109. And then you finish off the range with the Grand Reserva at £195. This one, it is a batch 4, 2024, so it is a new release, but it is something that I believe has been in travel retail throughout the last few years in different batches. And then there are also a couple of new releases over here as well. I've certainly not seen this Glenlivet Caskmakers before. It is 40%, an interesting mix of ex-Spanish sherry casks and charred European oak finish. Finally, in terms of what I've seen that's new here in the shops today, is the Aultmore. These, especially in travel retail, look like really tiny bottles, and it's because they are 50 CLs. So there's an 18-year-old and then also a 21-year-old as well. There is a 12-year-old, although it's out of stock here today. The 18-year-old comes in at £128 and £162 for this 21-year-old as well. I do like this packaging a lot, actually. The Aultmore is often described as the distillery of the foggy moss, and you can see the distillery behind the fog on the packaging as well. And as you go up through the range, there's more and more fog just, obscuring the distillery from the bottle. Some really nice embossing on this label as well. And this 21-year-old has been finished in second fill Calvados casks. Pretty specific, quite interesting as well. I believe all of these are cast finishes, and the 18 indeed has been finished in second fill Madeira casks as well. It's good to see, I think, after probably a year or two of not much coming to travel retail. Actually, there's been, seemingly the last month or two, a bunch of new releases. Some of them obviously at 40%, some of the prices are maybe pushing it a little bit, but at least there's something new there to try. I feel like a lot of the times in the last 6-12 months that I've been traveling, I've looked and kind of sighed and gone, there's just nothing even here that's new to try. So whilst maybe there's not an awful lot here that I'd be picking up that is new, at least kudos to the various distilleries out there for trying and putting out something that's just a little bit different. It's obviously not the biggest shop here at Glasgow, but as said, there are a few different things. So that's a quick little run through of what is on offer. I hope you enjoyed this brief little trip into duty free in the Enthusiast series. Do make sure to drop us a like, comment and subscribe if you've enjoyed and you'd like to see more of this content. We'll see you again very soon.